Okay, today we are going to look at Art A&Es, which stands for Appreciation and Experimentation. These are really cool things to do to help you appreciate art and learn from art. So let's go get started. Okay, for your Art A&E, you should have in your student booklet that you print out, or it could still be on the computer, which mine is. You have your Art A&E. This is Artistic Appreciation and Experimentation. That's what it stands for. And if you look through here, this will give you a bunch of information about it, and it will also give you a page that has a setup. And if you notice, the Art, Experimentation, and Appreciation is on two adjacent sides. One side is the appreciation side, the other side is the experimentation side. That's what you're going to be doing. So let's look at these two, this layout, practically speaking, on some artwork. Okay, here is one example of some artwork. Here's the appreciation side and experimentation side. This is from a 5th grader, and as you can see, they wrote appreciation up here and experimentation up here. They have their 4 sections with their artwork in the middle, and they also have the name of the artwork written up here. On this side, they have their experimenting process, and they have their grade sheet at the bottom. Here is another Art A&E. This one's obviously different, and it has a different layout here. This also has appreciation on this side, experimentation on this side. It has the name of the artwork, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4 sections, and then the actual artwork image. And over here again, here's some experimenting they did with annotations that you should have. That means it was written kind of the process that they did or what they noticed about it. I used my fingers to apply the color here. I applied the color brown last. Okay, so it shows a process. And again, their Art A&E grade sheet, which is in your student book, is affixed at the bottom of this side. We'll look at 2 more real quick. Okay, here is a 3rd one. Again, it has appreciation on this side, experimentation on this side, as well as the name of the artwork over here. And here is their information section on the appreciation. 1, 2, 3, 4 sections with the artwork, and again the layout's a little different in all of these. And over here is their experimentation, where they experimented a little bit with some of the techniques or the things that they saw. They have annotations on it to discuss what they did, and they put their grading sheet at the bottom. So let's check one more out real quick. Okay, here is the last one that we're going to look at. Adjacent pages, appreciation, experimentation. There's the title, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections to discuss, and then there is the artwork. On the experimentation side, we have an image, and this one has no annotations, which they got points off for that. And then we also have the grade sheet at the bottom. Okay, so let's discuss how to actually get information onto your appreciation side, okay, before we actually sit and work this up. In your pocket, you should have Wednesday filled out a paper that looks similar to this. We'll look at y'all's in just a minute, but it's similar to this, and it has some information from when you watched your video over the artwork. And you should also have this. Hopefully it is already glued down into your Art A&E that you fixed up Wednesday. If not, I'll walk you through how to apply this depending on how much y'all got done Wednesday. So whatever spot that you have left off from Wednesday, just catch up to that point and we'll get going. So you need these 2 things as you go on to create your Art A&E right here. Okay, so we're going to start with a blank sheet. Hopefully during class you already have a layout set up, but if not, just rewind back with me a little bit, and we're going to work through this process as well. So I'm going to take just a minute to fill out this sheet, to prepare it, to write all my information, and to do my experimentation. So let's do that real quick. Okay, we have this essentially set up. It's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but you can take as much time as you want and fix this up however you want to. But we have appreciation, experimentation. We have the image for this week, which is a very long title, Meeting of the Betrothed Couple and the Departure of the Pilgrims. And you can also have your name, date, teacher, subject if your teacher wants you to write that here. And here we have 4 sections, and your Art A&E grading sheet is attached over here. So this should be essentially, unless your teacher gave you a different setup here, which is fine, you don't have to set it up this way. I think my image is a little bit bigger than y'all's. But set this up how your teacher wanted you to, or how it's going to work based on what she said. And this is how it should look when you're ready to get it started. So let's look at your student discussion notes sheet and see how we can fill this in. Okay, so let's get out your VTS discussion notes page, and we are going to see how this information gets transferred onto your Art A&E, along with how you can read this to help you complete this. Okay, so we're going to look at this, and how to put the information together. Okay, so we're going to start with your discussion notes page. And we'll start up here at the beginning. Okay, so this is your 4 visual details, and this goes with your artwork information, so this artwork facts. So for the artwork facts over here, you have your visual information, 4 visual details, the date or the period it was completed, and the medium that was used. So over here for the artwork facts, you would need to write the date or the period the artwork was completed in, the mediums used, and then you have your 4 visual details, which was up here. So all of this is your first information for your artwork facts. Then we can move on to the artist facts. Okay, this is going to be about the artist, their self, or the people group. So we have the artwork. This is what you use for your title up here. But we have artist or people group. So here's the artist name or the people group. The artist date of birth or the people group, the era that they were in, which is right here. And then the purpose of the artwork, which goes next. So you would write all of your information here that pertains to this. Do not write name, people group, artist date of birth. Don't write this. You would write the actual information. I'll just put this here so that you can see how it relates to one another. The personal personal opinions of the artwork. You should have a box for that somewhere. And this is going to consist of the mood or feeling of the artwork, whichever one of these you had circled, maybe more than one. Skillfulness of the artist, were they skillful in what they did? Your opinion on that, their skillfulness. And were they successful in their purpose? Were they successful? So you would write yes or no, and you could include why you thought they were successful or why you thought they were not. And the last part is the appreciation. Okay, this is appreciated because, why should this be appreciated? And you would write this here. And it's the same thing as if, valued, is this artwork, why is it valuable, things like that. So whatever your teacher tells you to put here, that's what you need to be putting. And then this last part, are there any aspects of this artwork you would like to experiment with? That's what you are going to use over here on your experimentation side. Things about this piece of artwork here, the image that you thought was interesting or you wanted to try out, things like that. And that would go here. So then you would have this on, of course, at the bottom. Now what is this? Well, this is your grade sheet that your teacher's going to use, but you can also use this to double check and make sure you have everything. If you notice, this top portion is your heading, using the proper pages, that you have the proper title up here. the page titles and artwork and the image layout, that you've laid this out properly, so that you have your page titles, the heading here for your this and this, and that you have all of this arranged properly. That's that top part. Now the first gray area here has to do with the name of the person and the name of the people group, date of birth, and the purpose for creating the artwork or piece. So that is that's the artist. Then you have the artwork section next, date, period, mediums used for visual details. Then you have the personal opinions, which go right here. So you have your mood, feeling, skillfulness, successful, and purpose. It's the exact same as this, and they're all exactly the same. This is just where you put your information after you get it on here, and you can use this to check it. Last one is the appreciation part, discussing why the artwork should be valued or appreciated. And so you can see the points these are all worth. These are each 3, 4, 3 points, 2, 2, and 5. 6. 4, 3, and 3, and then the appreciate is 10 points for this section. So each one of these, you can see how many points off you could get if you left things off. And of course, this part has points too. Now the experimentation process. I should say experimentation. Sorry. This is 25 points for that. The annotations 15. And the vocabulary use is 10. So we'll look at that in just a minute and see how exactly you were supposed to do the experimentation part. Okay, here is one of these, the same sheet with the meeting of the betrothed couple and the departure of the pilgrims. This one is finished and it has a lot of stuff added to it, and we're going to talk about that. But first, let's look at the experimentation section here. The part that this person focused on is the flag here, okay? They really liked how the flag was done in this piece, and you can just focus on one aspect of the artwork. It could be anything in there. And so they took this and they tried to recreate the flag, and they did experimentation with these lines. So they took this line here and they made it, and they turned it into like a cliff area. And they said this is similar to the form of cliffs. So they did some annotations here. This is the flag form, and so they're experimenting with this line, this wavy line, and the forms that are made from it. Here's another one that did the same waviness like this, except they made it shorter. You know, it's not as fat, and so they turned it into a ribbon and practiced going different directions with it. So they said, I drew a line and turned it into a ribbon by creating a thin form from it. So the form that they made is a very thin one with this. And similar lines, okay, they did one like this, very similar, but they said on here, the space being less or more, okay, they had more space versus less space. This one looks thinner, more like a ribbon. This one looks fatter and thicker, like it has more volume. So they wrote down some of the things that they noticed about their images here and took note of it. Now they can do some more. They have room here to do a little bit more experimentation with stuff, but this is good enough. This is all that you need. So down here for the experimentation process, they would probably get 25 points for that. Did they do annotations? Yes, they have annotations on their images as they discuss what they were doing, things that they noticed about them, stuff like that. And the vocabulary use. Depending on what vocabulary you have thus far, you're going to, it's going to change how you're going to word stuff. So form in this section is one of the vocabulary words that they're using. So they would come in here and they would underline the word form that they used. Oops, I wrote my pencil. They would underline the word form and volume, if volume was part of their vocabulary. So, and space could be as well. So they would underline the vocabulary, and the teacher would make sure that they used some vocabulary as they discussed some of the processes that they were going through as they created this. Now, last, you can come and you can decorate this. So they did. They used some watercolor, and they just went through here and added color, different color to their sections. They also added an image. You can do this anytime you want. You can print some extra sheets off of the internet to add to your appreciation side. This one, they made the appreciation and experimentation bold in here, and this is a little bit smaller. It's nice and neat and orderly. They added color to this. They even put some watercolor around here to add some prettiness to the whole thing. And you can do designs, you can draw designs, you can add some stickers if you want to add some stickers if they make it look better. What you don't want to do is take a marker and start coloring over this to where you can't see the words anymore. You will get that counted wrong. If the teacher can't read it and you have this dark red over everything and color this whole box red and it's super hard to see the words, you're not going to get points for that. That's not okay. So this should be how your artwork, your Art 80s look. It should have this all filled out, four spaces, your artwork, title, appreciation, experimentation, plus the title of the artwork. Should have your name, date, teacher, subject in some spot wherever your teacher designates it. And then you should have some experimentation, some images over here that you drew. Okay, these have to be something that you drew. And you should have annotations there and use some of your vocabulary and underline the vocabulary as you do it. Make sure this is stuck here so she can put your grade, and double check things once you're finished to make sure you have everything you need. So good luck and happy drawing.